Having a solid handstand is foundational to acrobatics. If you require a good level of a handstand, it will open up a lot of movement possibilities. That's why this is one of the first skills we will focus on. So we will talk about the warm-up, on how to build the required strength for it, but also the maintenance, and a few key points which are very valuable, I think, for a lot of people. So let's start. So starting with a warm-up, it's very important to warm up the wrists, because this is the joint where we put the most pressure on during this movement, this skill. Closing the hands, closing the elbows, and shake your wrist out for about 15 to 20 seconds. Then you're going to place your hands just in front of you on the floor from this kneeled sitting position. You rotate your wrist from inside out, and then you repeat that a few times, reaching for your biggest range of motion. Then you place your hands on the floor, and from here you're going to lean your upper body from backward and forward. I would say when you actually going to lean backwards, try to pull for about 50% of your capacity, and then you swing a bit forward and backward, make it an active stretch. Now we're going to turn around the hands, so you're actually leaning on your palms, and now the accent lays on pushing. So when you move and lean forward with your upper body, you're going to put a tiny little bit of pressure on your wrist. I would say about 20 to 30% of your capacity, not too much, because it's super sensitive in this position, in this exercise. It's just about activating the wrist tiny little bit from another angle. Then when we have been doing the wrist, it's also very important to warm up the shoulders properly. Also super much pressure we're going to put on it while we're doing the handstand. And a good way to warm up is the scapula push-up. So we're going to a plank position, where you have to focus on is the hips. Be aware that it's not too high, not too low. Try to be in the middle. Maybe you can use a mirror if you haven't been doing it before to be aware when you are actually straight. Then you close your feet. Your hands are in one line with your shoulders, and then you try to hang as much as you can into your shoulders, and also pushing up. So you actually make a push-up with extended arms, I would say. Try to aim for 8 to 12 repetitions would be enough for a good shoulder warm-up. If we have been doing that, we can put a little bit more pressure on it and make it a bit more advanced by doing pike push-ups. So from the plank position, you walk with your feet towards your hands. Then you come into this pyramid position. I would say your hips are quite high, and you try to make a push-up. Yes, what's important is that we are going to be aware about the top of our head right here. We're going to aim to reach with that part of the head the floor, if the mobility allows us. It's not for everyone. If not, try to reach for your biggest range of motion. And what's important is to look at your belly button. In this way, it's easier for your head to touch the ground, and you have the correct posture for it. Don't try to do it too explosive. You can do it quite slowly, I would say. It's also safer for the joints and everything. Then we go to the crow pose. This is actually also really intensive for your shoulders, but also integrating a bit more the core already. Placing the elbows from inside the knees, and then the hands on the floor, and then you can lean forward. What is a really good way to start is by using the support of the wall from the back. So you go really quickly or really close to the wall. with your feet, and then you try to get into this position. So you lean with your head as much forward as possible until you are feeling you will be horizontally. Support by the wall with your feet, and then aim for endurance. Don't forget to breathe throughout your nose, throughout the static position. That's what a lot of people forget. And when you breathe, when you relax a bit more, for sure you can stand longer into the position. If you're used to that, you can try to go for the freestanding. While you're doing this exercise, either with the wall or without, try to aim for endurance. 10 to 15 seconds would be a good aim. Then, also very useful exercise is to place the hands actually further away from the wall and then touching the feet with the wall as well. You would be in like a semi-plank position. Also aiming for endurance every time, every step that you're going to practice. Aiming for 10 to 15 seconds. And then every time you try to place the feet a bit higher with every set. And then if your feet are really high in the air, you can try to walk with your hand towards the wall, standing for a moment, looking straight up, and then walking backwards again or forward from the wall away. And also a good challenge is to make this walk with the hands slower. So really mini micro steps towards the wall. And away from it as well. Next thing which is really important to practice and to get familiar with is the entry of the handstand. How to get into it. And we start with the feet placement. One foot in the front, one in the back. And then the hands in this case are just 1-2 centimeters away from the wall. Now you have a back leg available to kick up. And try to practice that many times. And every time you try to kick up a bit higher, until you would be like straight in the air, taking off the wall. And if you can try to close the legs and then stand a bit longer in the handstand and going back. Now this is actually going to make it easier to implement some more momentum, where we have the hands overhead, placing the hands at the same position as we just did in a previous exercise, kicking up directly into the straight handstand position with closed legs. And then you practice it from every time the hands overhead into the same technique. Actually, it is easier because you don't have to use so much strength as you did before. But if you haven't been doing this before, it's a bit more scary. And one more time from a closer angle. So you see everything is in one motion, no breaks in between. And the effect will be that it's getting easier. If you're used to that, we can move to a corner. And this is actually very useful because now we go to the same stability from the back wall. And if you can, try now to find stability from the side wall, getting loose of the back wall. And try to get a feeling there. If you feel comfortable enough, you can try to play with kicking off the side wall and close the legs for a moment. If you feel comfortable there, you can actually remove the back wall and just do the same thing with the side wall. Also try to play with it, to close the legs. And if you can, try to aim for endurance, standing as long as you can into the freestanding handstand. Now, also very important, exit strategies. How do we get out of a handstand? The first technique would be rolling, because if you know how to roll, you will know how to fall. And in this way, it's very important to get to know with the frontal roll. So we make a triangle with the hands on the floor, then you get your right shoulder towards the floor and roll towards your left hip, so diagonally over your back. Try to repeat this many times. You cannot do it enough, I would say. Yeah, really, the more you do it, the better you get it, the more it's in your muscle memory, the less you have to think about it. And remember now the kick up of the handstand as we discussed in this video. So the back leg is the kick up factor, and you try to slightly kick up and then fall into this rolling pathway. And every time you do it, try to jump a bit higher until you're actually straight up and fall in it. Yes, if you master this, you can always, when you feel like falling backwards in your handstand, fall in it and get out safely. It's either good for you mentally as physically in this skill. And then if we have been practicing rolling, so falling backwards, you can also practice falling sideways. So if you would go to the handstand in this way, you can practice it from the wall. You try to fall to the left and the right, making repetitions there many times. And you actually remove the external arm from the side that you're going to fall to, and landing on the leg to the side where you're falling to. And if you feel comfortable there, you can remove the back wall as well, just using the side wall. And if you feel comfortable there, you can remove all the walls, just go to your freestanding handstand and practice it from there, because of course that is the end goal. Now we go to the key points of the handstand. Where do we pay attention to? The first one is the hands. If you would have this feeling of grabbing into a tennis ball, you try to get that feeling, and a good exercise for that as well is to close the hands and push inwards continuously. So you push and release for about 20 times, I would say. You're going to feel effect in some muscles in the upper body. And when you place the hands now on the floor and doing the exact same thing, so you're actually activating your fingers as well, mostly, and then moving forward, backwards, around, you try to feel that there's way more stability. Think about your feet when they're on the floor and you activate your toes and moving forward, backward, around. There's also it's less likely that you would get out of balance in that way. The same is with your hands and the handstand. You can use it in a functional way. Now the second thing is that we try to keep looking at one point continuously while we are in the handstand. This is a good way to create more stability and balance and coordination, orientation. You can think of when you're spotting while you're turning, for example. If you would keep looking at one point continuously, you have way more coordination. The same is with the handstand. Then we go to the next exercise, which is the belly exercise, I call it. You place one hand underneath the lower back, and then you try to squeeze your stomach and your lower back to squeeze the hand below on the floor. And then you squeeze, release for about 20 times. If you have been doing that, you can go to a stand-up position and do exactly the same thing with your stomach, with your belly, for about 20 repetitions to get the feeling there. And then if we would go to a handstand position, we also do exactly the same thing. And as you already see a little bit, it corrects the posture. And the end goal is actually to avoid, the banana shape, what a lot of people would suffer in the handstand. And so here you have the banana posture, and if you correct it, you would be way more straight, as you see. And also try to practice this by repeating it. So squeeze, release. And then the last key point is to close the legs. It's also way more coordinated. Alright, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. This video, there's a lot of information in there, and it's definitely not the goal to master it all in one time, in one session. It is for the long term. So I would say try to find out throughout these exercises where you are, which level you have, implement it into your daily, weekly, monthly routine, and then by time and consistency you're going to see progression. If you master the certain exercise or step, you can move throughout this video by coming back to it towards the next step. And this is how we build progression. Alright, thank you so much for watching, and see you at the next class.